This is a Japanese toolbox. I know, it's pretty unimpressive because it's just a box. The cool part is the outside. And from the outside, this is still just a box. And to most people, that's all it's ever going to be. But to people who make boxes, this is a work of art. And believe it or not, to find one of these and get it made for yourself is gonna run you close to $1,000. Let me show you what makes this thing so unique. Okay, so the reality is that this box is actually a dad box. Let me explain. So if you ask a dad to make a box, he's gonna look up, okay, what's the most complicated way to make a box? And this is it. The reason it is because it has Japanese dovetails, through tenons, and a rebate for the bottom, as well as some fancy stuff going on for the lid. Japanese toolboxes are normally just made with pieces of wood and nails. That's perfectly fine. But because it's gonna house some pretty cool tools, I needed to do something a little bit different. So in comes the Japanese dovetails. You guys may have seen in some of my other videos where I'm using these jigs to cut the Japanese dovetails, and that's because they're called compound angled dovetails. See, the angle here on this face represents that geometry right there, but it's the exact same geometry on this face over here. Now the panel that is the front and the back of the inside of the box actually has these through tenons that stick out. So there's nothing but glue holding that board together. But also, the dovetails have to go in at the exact same time. It's kind of complicated. The bottom piece actually has a rebate with a groove cut into this sideboard, so that way the bottom doesn't just fall out. Some of the designs that I had seen had that panel at the bottom and just nailed to these sideboards, and I really didn't like that, just because, well, what if, one of the nails gives out, what if the panel just completely falls through? I know it's not very likely, but, my brain just couldn't help myself and I had to figure out something to do. And of course, I chose the worst board to be able to do that panel with, because at the very bottom there's a big old knot there. I cut that rebate with a plow plane, and boy, that knot gave me a run for my money. So I had to finish that rebate with a chisel, which actually was not that difficult to do. It was actually quite surprising and not that difficult considering it's yellow pine. The last thing that makes this guy really unique is the nails that I use. So typically you could use wire cut nails or some sort of ring shank or something like that. Well, I ended up using these cut nails, and they have a unique shape and they have to be oriented in just the right way. So there's that thin profile to it, and then there's a thick profile to it. The thick profile, well, you want the thick profile to push against end grain. So when you put these in, you'll see actually that the heads are all in the same orientation. So over here you can see all these nails that are put into this board over here, and they all have the same orientation because the grain of this board is running left and right like this. The thick part of the nail has to be in line with that grain. So you put them in like this, and there's the head. So that head shape will tell you that whether that nail was put in correctly or incorrectly. If it's like this, then it'd be pushing against the fibers, meaning that it would actually split it. So you actually do have to drill a pilot hole for these, because otherwise they are so aggressive that they may crack the wood. And actually, in some cases I did have a little bit of cracking, but I'm not really concerned because for the most part it's all held down, plus there's also some glue underneath. So let me talk to you a little bit more about these Japanese dovetails. So what makes them interesting is that they are not shaped the same way as regular dovetails. They actually have angles on both faces, so it looks kind of impossible to assemble. You can't really imagine how this board would go in this direction, or that one would come in this direction without having some sort of issue. The secret is that both of these boards are joined at a 45-degree angle and met like that. Like I was saying, I used this jig to lay out the joinery on this face, and then I used it to lay it out on that face as well. And then the unique thing about these Japanese dovetails, if you've ever done regular dovetails, you're used to cutting the tails and then scribing it onto the pins. There is no scribing. It's actually impossible to scribe the joinery from, or the profile from one of these boards to the other one without having to do some sort of crazy contortionist stuff. So I just didn't do that. What I made was this jig. You could also do it with dividers if you know how to do it. The neat thing about it is that we're actually hosting a class on this come in September. So if you're interested in it, let us know and we'll let you drop a link or something. The other neat part is this panel that you can see these through tenons. That's really nothing fancy. I just left the tenons really oversized. I glued the panel in and it works perfectly fine. The good thing of why this panel is here, the dovetailed one, is because it's actually a handle. Underneath it, it's actually chamfered. So that's what makes this toolbox super unique. So the last reason why I absolutely love this toolbox is because it's ultra portable. Here's a lid, goes on like this, slides into place, you drop it down, and then you can just slide it to lock it in place. And here it is. You can just pick it up and take it to your work site with all your tools inside of it. I made it out of yellow pine, which makes it super, super lightweight. Typically, these are made out of a even lighter wood. I've heard that they're made out of paulownia, which is a very stable, very light wood, very strong, which would make making this toolbox super fun. Unlike a Dutch tool chest, which is to organize all your tools, this is mostly just to take them from one place to another, which is perfectly understandable. And there's plenty of space in there to fit a whole bunch of Japanese tools, because turns out Japanese tools are actually kind of small. But that being said, it still hosts plenty of space to be able to fit larger planes like a number 5, maybe even a number 6. Let me show you. Okay, so like I said, there's plenty of space in here. So here's a number 5, we'll put that right in there. And of course, the space that you have in here is all about your planning. So I made it so that the blade up here, I have enough space that when that lid is in here, it doesn't interfere with the top of this iron. So that's a number 5, here's a number 7. Same exact thing, the blade doesn't interfere. Here's a Japanese kana plane. And it actually almost fits like that. I probably could have made it a little bit wider, but anyway, fits perfectly in there. Put it in line with number 5. That way I have more space over here. My small smoothing plane fits at the end. I could fit this Japanese slick, so I know I need a different cover for it. Get in there. Actually, can also fit various timber framing saws as well. So these are from Temple Tools. This is a rip saw, and then this one right here is a crosscut saw. So they fit conveniently in there, even though they have fairly long blades and really short handle. I can also fit this Z-Saw 333, which is really, really long, but fits in there nice and easy. Tool rolls, mallets, jigs, and I still have space in here for squares and any sort of scribing material that I want. The last part that I love about this is the lid. So I made this special lid because Temple Tools actually sent me a number of tools for our upcoming Sunrise Dovetail class, and I couldn't think of a better way to commemorate it than by carving their logo onto the top of this box. You'd think that this would be kind of impossible to lift, but it's actually fairly light, and considering the handles are like that, you can easily just take this like this, load it into your car, take it back out, and then you have a sweet toolbox to be able to show off and grab all your tools out of. Now, it's kind of important that when you finish the lid on here, you do leave these pieces overhanging a little bit, because you will use them to set the lid in there and also to lift it out. So mine is extra tight, and it being moist and humid today, it's actually kind of expanded a little bit, made it a little bit difficult to close. This box is not waterproof. However, I am going to put some spar urethane on it because this is going to live outside. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the tour of this Japanese toolbox. I made it to my own liking. It's not necessarily the traditional way of making a toolbox. I think some guy said that just using nails is perfectly fine, and I agree with him. It's perfectly fine. But this is my toolbox. I wanted to make it the way I wanted to do. And if you want to learn how to make something like this, let me know, because we are hosting a number of classes on Japanese joinery, not only for boxes but also for timber framing. So you may not see it, but I am in a Japanese styled timber frame pavilion over here, and that's kind of my office. This is where I work every single day, and I make cool stuff like this along with other useless things like carvings and such. We do have links to all those classes. If you are interested, just leave us a comment and we'll send you a link. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time.